How did Superman meet Mr. Fate? Mr. Fate. Look at me demoting. Hello friends, welcome back to the show. So glad to see you once again. If you're new here, thanks for giving this channel a try. I think that you're going to enjoy this show. If you're a fan of cartoons from the 90s like I am, whether you grew up on them or just discovered them later in life, they are some of the best cartoons, the 90s and 80s, I would say, in my humble opinion. Right now, we're in a series looking at each and every episode of Superman, the animated series. And today we've got a special one for you as we talk about The Hand of Fate, which originally aired on October 11th, 1997.
I am power beyond your dreams. Call to me.
This episode marks the first appearance of Dr. Fate, although Superman does reference that they already know him. But this kind of builds on the bigger world of the animated series and bringing in other characters. Batman, Flash, Dr. Fate, and the list goes on. But we'll talk all about that right after our 60-second Brainiac Bomb rundown of the episode. I'm going to try to explain a brief synopsis of everything that happens in this episode in 60 seconds before the bomb goes off. I don't know if I can do this one. A run-of-the-mill thief is looking through some warehouse and finding all these artifacts. And he finds this one that has some inscription on it. He kind of dismisses it, just jibber-jabber. And then it possesses him with this demon Karkull. And he starts terrorizing the city and running amok. And Superman goes in there and tries to stop him and hits him and knocks him into the Daily Planet. And then he puts a spell over the Daily Planet and creates this force field that nobody can penetrate, not even Superman. So Superman flies off and employs the help of Dr. Fate. But Dr. Fate says, "No, I'm not interested. I'm not doing that kind of stuff anymore." And Superman goes, "Well, so be it. I got to go take care of this." And he goes back and is trying to fight him. And at this point, Karkull has now been possessing and taking over the bodies of other people that are in the Daily Planet, like Lois and Jimmy Olsen and all them, and turning them into other demon people army things. And so Superman goes in there and he's trying to punch, and the SVU is there. And then finally, Dr. Fate does show up and in his full regalia and full battle gear, and he has a box and starts. That's what he said. He said, "Zaba zuba zaba." Dr. Fate goes in there with this box and opens it up and starts chanting this spell to get Karkull sucked in there, but he gets hit and knocks it out of his hand, and then Superman picks it up and finishes the spell, gets him sucked back into the box, and then Superman goes and visits Dr. Fate and says, "Hey, what changed your mind? Why'd you go back to do this?" And he goes, "Well, if you were going to go, then I had to go too."
Hey, fella, you seem to be causing quite a disturbance.
So this opens a lot like a Batman episode in the sense that it's at night, which I think is weird, just seeing Superman patrolling at night, not normally something he does. And to see this kind of generic run-of-the-mill crook with this spoon cap and the little jacket on is just a very classic kind of Batman crook, and is going through some warehouse finding these artifacts. And so that opening scene is kind of cool to me because I like that motif and that style, being such a big Batman fan. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, right. Singing Polly Wolly Doodle all day.
So the character Karkull, I don't know if that is a regular character in the comics or that was just some demon made up for this show. I don't know much about him. Maybe it's just me, but I couldn't get behind his design. I didn't feel like he was all that threatening with the big tentacles on his mouth, because to me, that just made him look like Dr. Zoidberg. But he's certainly a powerful adversary and is able to create this force field that Superman isn't able to penetrate. So that was kind of cool.
I am Karkull!
Now, I had high hopes for this episode because Dr. Fate's kind of a neat character. Really, all I know about him is from the Justice League cartoon. And right now I'm going back through and watching Young Justice on DC Universe, getting ready for the third season that's on there. Another good excuse to get DC Universe is being able to see the old Young Justice and then their new third season. And just a quick plug for that. Young Justice, outside of the Batman, Superman, Justice League cartoons, that's probably one of the better animated series of recent. I guess that was 2010, 2011, something like that. But even going back, and this is the second time that I've seen it through, it's really good. And I'm anxious. I'm now in the second season. I'm really anxious to see the third season. And maybe I'll do a video about that, but it's a really good series. Good story, good series, great animation. But really, that's all my knowledge that I have of Dr. Fate is from those shows. I hadn't really read much about him in the comics and things like that. But he's a really interesting character and certainly very powerful. And I also always kind of enjoy the characters that have this sort of mantle that's passed to different people. You know, this helmet being the source of the power that so different people become Dr. Fate.
Not this time, my friend. I've quit.
But when Superman goes to talk to him, he alludes to the fact that they know each other. This isn't him meeting him for the first time. And certainly when he sees Karkull and the magic stuff that's going on there, he immediately thinks, oh, I got to go talk to Dr. Fate. That's the guy that would do this. And so I don't know if there was an unaired episode or a story that was intended to make or what of how Superman meets Dr. Fate, or they just jumped into it, which I'm okay with that too, because I think we learn enough about Dr. Fate through this episode that we didn't need a lot of backstory or go, okay, here's who Dr. Fate is, and here's their relationship, and here's how he knows Superman, because I think that could have been a wasted episode. But it's very similar in the sense of the Batman episode with Etrigan, the Demon Within. Is that what it's called? It's this one here. In the sense that they build on an already established relationship between Batman and Etrigan. Same thing in this, where they have Superman and Dr. Fate already having a relationship, or at least knowing each other, but Dr. Fate not wanting to help out. And so Superman goes at this alone.
I've removed myself from the battlefield.
Lois and Jimmy get sucked into this and get turned into demon army people themselves, and which kind of creates a nice element that Superman's kind of got to hold back and trying to save them and stop them, but can't use his full strength even though he needs to, because it's a very powerful villain, and it's a great premise to kind of suck Dr. Fate into the story, and he is needed. And the only way that this was going to be accomplished is if Dr. Fate came in and helped him out. And they also show the susceptibility of Superman to magic, that he actually gets his chest cut open by Karkull? Kankle? Is it Kankle?
It could be someone you know.
And thankfully, Star Labs has not created a magic protective suit for Superman. He has to do it the old-fashioned way, asking for help.
What do you mean?
Of course, it does turn into kind of a big battle at the end, but I think the setup of it and the premise of it worked. And I think in having this big battle, it was a different type of battle than what we've seen, because there's magic and we've got Dr. Fate in there and trying to suck him into this box and the spells and things like that. So it makes it kind of a different type of battle than just Superman punching things.
You don't have the tools to defeat me.
And I really kind of like, once they kind of go back to business as usual, getting them sucked into the case and everything goes back to normal, I like the little piece at the end of, you know, again, a kind of a telling component of Superman's character, that when he asked Dr. Fate why he came back, and he says, I came back because I saw you going back into battle, even though there was no chance of you stopping him. A great telling line speaking to what Superman's character is, but also how other people see Superman as a beacon of hope, if you will.
Till then, I thought it was only the forces of evil that wouldn't give up.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, it's pretty decent. Dr. Fate is a cool character. They work him into the story. I like that. I think they could have done more with him in the episode, but maybe that's just me being greedy. I like that Superman was challenged in a different way, and it wasn't just him fighting a big monster, but he needed to rely on somebody else to help him. But at its core, it was just a Superman versus a monster sort of story, just with some other interesting layers. So for those reasons, this episode falls a little below halfway point at the number 16 spot of my favorite episodes so far. It falls just below Livewire because I like an interesting villain, and maybe that's what makes me such a fan of Batman, but seeing villains like Livewire in Superman is interesting. I think the villain should be as interesting as the hero, and in this case, it's just a giant demon monster thing. Powerful, yes, but just not as interesting. But it does beat out a little piece of home, because as important as that story is to establish Kryptonite, it was just sort of an episode that just needed to happen and didn't have as much weight to it.
It's okay.
Since I don't think it's explained, certainly not explained in this episode, but I don't think it's explained anywhere else in the series, how did Superman meet Mr. Fate? Mr. Fate. Look at me demoting him. How did Superman meet Dr. Fate? Is that a story that's in the comics, or is it not clear in this realm, or do they establish that later in the series? I don't know. Let me know if you know, or if you don't, make it up. Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this episode, click the like button. If you didn't like it, then hit dislike. If you want to see more episodes like this, just hit the subscribe button, because I have new episodes coming out every Tuesday and Thursday. And next up, I have the episode Prototype, so you don't want to miss that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Knode. I'll see you soon.